Okay, so it's day 2 this weekend of the retaining wall. It's Father's Day, so I'm going to be cut a little bit short today on how much time I'm able to spend out here working on this. But I think where I'm going to start, I realized right when I was leaving yesterday, I cut that farthest railroad tie too long because actually need to extend this return all the way over so that I can lock it into that next one. And I said in my video that I was going to buy some of those 10-inch structural screws today, but then I did not. And the closest Lowe's is like 40 minutes away, so I'm not driving all the way back. And none of the hardware stores in town have them. I already checked. So I guess I'm sticking with the auger. I just went and bought a new auger bit because that spade bit's just not working fast. It's working, but it's so slow. Um, I'm going back to the auger bit, and I'm just gonna make sure and keep it nice and lubricated and not go more than maybe 2 inches at a time with it, and just work my way through them. But I got to cut that railroad tie down. I need to sharpen my chainsaw first. That's what stopped me yesterday. And then I need to cut that railroad tie down. Then I need to cut one that extends all the way over. And then I'll put 2 stakes in this tie and then 1 stake in that tie. And that'll tie that corner together good. I also did a little bit of research and I discovered that I don't have to do every single course with a dead man. It's every other course. So that's good. That means I can stack this all the way up. I probably do need to add a dead man on these two somewhere. Maybe in both of them. No, actually, I'll probably go 8 foot off this end, and then I think I'll put a dead man here since this is on its second course. This is its third here, so I can skip it here. I can add 1 right there, and then I can stack across all there, and then I can do 2 more over here, and then stack up, and then 1 here. And we'll see how far I can get before I run out of backfill dirt. But I'll probably run out of time today before I get to that point. But I'm going to cut that down, extend that over, and then I'm going to start graveling this pipe and get this pipe buried so that I can move on and maybe get some of this gravel out of my driveway, give myself more room to get trucks in and out. Okay, so I knocked this one off because I'm going to measure from this wall to here, leaving it just short, just enough that the front of this one is in line with this one since I'm stepping them back every course. So I'm going to cut it about 3/4 shorter than what I have to the edge of this. Well, actually probably quite a bit shorter because I don't want it to be completely tight to this wall over here. So 60 and maybe 59. Yeah, probably like 59. Good way to get yourself to actually continuously sharpen the chainsaw too is take it in there in the air conditioning to do it. Then you're excited to sharpen it every time. It's even hotter today than yesterday. Definitely a lot sunnier. Figured everyone would appreciate seeing me use a dolly to move some of these. We're getting a lot of comments, people saying I need to figure something else out besides just carrying them everywhere. And honestly, today I just don't feel like getting that dirty. My biggest problem with them, they're not like extremely strenuously heavy, especially once I get them up. Like once you get them off the ground and you're actually holding it and you balance it out, it's not that bad. But the dirt that's all over them, I get so covered in it, it gets all over my arms, and I just don't feel like getting super dirty today. So probably gonna be doing this for most of them. I do work out a lot. I'm not like putting my body through stuff that it's never usually been through. I've been doing squat, bench, deadlift 3 days a week for a little over 4 years now. My max lifts are a 505 squat, a 505 505 deadlift, beltless, and 300-pound bench. So I try to condition myself for stuff like this. So like compared to that, picking these up really isn't that extreme for me. I'm not saying it's like easy. It's definitely not effortless. And I definitely don't think it's impossible that I could get hurt doing it because the conditions in the gym are like perfect. And these, you're you know, balancing on uneven ground and walking up and picking it up in weird positions and stuff. So everyone's right, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I do need to be making it as easy as I can on myself. Because I do definitely not want to be one of those completely blown out guys in my 50s. So it looks like I can cut this one at 76. Really hope I can avoid having to make so many cuts the next course. Being a little smarter about my dead man placing. Kind of good that this one needs to be cut though, because my cut ended up being really, really nasty on this end. Just trying to work with a chain that was way too dull. Okay, I'm not sure that cut ended up being a whole lot better than the other one. It's really hard to stay straight as you go down. I keep angling on accident. But let's see what this looks like. Oh, that's not that bad. I don't know if you guys had noticed how horrible the cut on this dead man was on any of the other clips, but it was bothering me too much, so I cut it off. It was like insanely out of square. It was like sticking out like an inch up here. I was thinking I'm going to be looking at that for the rest of my life if I don't fix that now. So went ahead and just scooted these other two back, got it looking good. I'm really liking the look of this thing so far. I think it's going to look cool when it's done. Okay, so I've got everything stacked up and in place, and I went ahead and pre-cut a bunch of 9-inch stakes since I didn't end up getting those structural screws. That's my new auger bit. I just drilled this first hole. I filled the tube the auger bit came up with oil, or came in with oil, filled it up with oil. So like 3 times per hole, I'm taking it out and dipping it in that, keep it lubricated. It's making a very big difference. I also actually measured out. I was definitely drilling those old ones way too deep because I only need to go about that far in to fit one of these spikes, and I was going to here every time before. So lots of unnecessary drilling before, learn as you go. But got to go through and drill a lot of holes and then get this all tied together. I really wish I had got those screws, but it is what it is. This was the original plan anyway. Check that out. DeWalt battery on a Milwaukee. Forgot I had this adapter. I thought I was going to be out of luck for a little while because my battery died. And one of my Milwaukee batteries just completely quit working. It won't charge. And then the other one just died. So I was like, well, I guess I'm done putting spikes in. But then I remembered I had this thing. I got a ton of DeWalt batteries. I've been wondering if anyone's noticed that I wear a DeWalt hat all the time, but I've been using Milwaukee power tools. It's because back in my TikTok days, I did a lot of tool comparison videos, and it just kind of made sense at the time to get a Milwaukee set just to compare them to my DeWalt set. And then I used Milwaukee for a little while at work, and then I got kind of tired of it, and I decided to make the Milwaukee set that I bought my home set. And then I have DeWalt stuff at work, so that's why I'm always using Milwaukee drill and impact out here and DeWalt everything else. It's because I only have a Milwaukee drill and impact set, and I just keep it at the house. That way that I have it's separate from all my work stuff. That way at work I'm not using Milwaukee batteries for my drill and impact and then DeWalt everything else. It was just confusing when I did that. Plus, I mean, their stuff's actually really good. These drill and impacts, I think a lot of tool companies would have burned up by now doing what I've been doing with these things. This one was probably close to burning up before I went and ate lunch. It was hot and it smelled like burning plastic. I'm also pretty sure I cracked the handle. Every once in a while it gets some force on it and it really bends. I think it's cracked right here behind this rubber grip. Trying to go easy on it now. I already bent this new auger bit, which is really annoying. Being as easy as I can. Dipping it in this oil is making a big difference, I can tell. The main thing is just making sure I don't do too much at once. If I go much deeper than like 2, maybe 3 inches at a time, it gets really, really bound up. That was about the max right there that I just did. Hit a hollow spot or something in that next railroad tie down. I really wish I would have remembered to just buy those screws like I thought I would. This would be so quick to just run through here and run a bunch of 10-inch screws down through all this. But instead, it's like a 2-minute thing per spike, and then I have to stop. I can only get I can do like 6 in a row, and then I have to stop and let this drill cool down because I'm going to burn it up, and I don't want to do that. I'm really liking the way this is looking. It looks very rustic. Adds a cool look to the front of the house. It's going to look really nice when it's all done. So you might be noticing I have these seams all offset. They're not offset like perfectly splitting the next tie on top of it. That's just because of the dead men. I couldn't really do that the way that the dead men spacing worked out. But you notice I didn't just do a railroad tie and then a railroad tie and then a railroad tie and just have a seam going all the way up, because you don't want that. You want this weight to be distributing. So this way it's spanning this one, and then I'm also able, by doing that, I'm able to pin into this one and then pin into this one, and that locks everything together. That locks these two together because it's got a stake in it and a stake in it. And then this one is locked into this one and this one because it's got a stake here and a stake here. So as it goes up, that interlocks, that stacks them. They'll stack, and then it distributes the weight across all of them somewhat evenly, and it interlocks all of them together that way. All right, it's time to suffer a little bit. I got 2 full-length ties in a row to bring over. Well, for everyone who appreciated me using the dolly, I'm sorry, because that really wasn't that much easier than just carrying them. If I get the balance point right on them, that like this right now is really not bad at all. It's picking them up and putting them down that's hard, and I have to do that whether I use the dolly or not. Carrying it isn't the hard part. Okay, can I do a controlled descent here without an accident happening? Nice. I'm really liking the way this is looking. Setting all these back a 1/2 inch to a 3/4, probably ended up being more like 3/4 everywhere, is giving the face of this a really cool textured look. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting, like rustic, tough look. I really like it a lot. I just hope it doesn't rot out super fast, and I hope it doesn't attract termites. I'm gonna have to look into it and see like if there's maintenance you need to do on a railroad tie wall, if you need to like apply some type of treatment to it to prevent rot and pests. I figure there's probably something. Catch my breath and then do that again. Fortunately, I've used most of the really big railroad ties at this point. There's not a whole lot of like huge ones, humongous ones left, but there's still a couple of like really dense ones. Like this one This one wasn't too bad, but I think, I'm trying to remember, there was one that I carried over here today that was like not even that much bigger than the rest of them. It wasn't bigger than the rest of them at all, but it was like way heavier than all the rest of them have been. I don't know what the, I mean, I guess I do know what the deal is. They're just denser. It's just denser wood. Yeah, I'm surprised more creatures haven't found a home in this pile of railroad ties. I keep expecting to see a big snake or lizards or a bunch of ants every time I move one of these, but I've barely seen any. Just lizards, a couple of lizards and a couple of frogs. I haven't seen a snake on this property yet. Maybe there's just not hardly snakes around here. I don't know. Keep expecting to see them. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. So nice to see it finally going up, though. This was just a trench in the ground for so long. It's very gratifying to finally see it turn into a wall. Not perfectly straight. Got like one zigzag right at the end, but you can't tell standing anywhere except right here where I'm sitting right now. I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. That corner, I couldn't really get it square the way that I wanted to, so it's kind of like this, I guess. You can see that this side is kind of angling in, and this side's also kind of angling in. That connection point needed to be moved out this way and that way, but just didn't work out where I could really do that realistically. You won't ever be able to tell. It's only barely off. All right, suffering part is done, except that I still need to cut my end piece and then carry it over, and it's only going to be a little bit smaller than a full length. So that one's still going to be heavy too. Part of the thing with people thinking that I got myself in over my head on this place is that, and then also kind of to address everyone that's afraid of me getting like burnt out or something, is that I really love doing stuff like this. I always have. When I was a little kid, I always loved working on stuff in the yard at my parents' house. And then ever since I moved out, I've just been dreaming. I've been renting this whole time. I've been dreaming of having my own place to take care of and do stuff like this at. So, truly not concerned about getting burnt out. If I take a weekend off here and there, that's plenty. I'm not the kind of person that wants to sit around and do nothing on the weekends anyway. So doing this and then having a community of people that like to see it and talk about it also is like my dream. It's perfect. I think that's kind of, and I don't blame people for not understanding that when they think that this was like a huge mistake. They think that I have no idea how much work it's going to take and stuff. Because I know that most people would be turned away by having to do a bunch of work like this. But that's just what I like to do. I like to figure stuff out and improve places, improve things, and improve areas. it's like addicting walking around this place and looking at things that can be improved and thinking of ways that the house can be improved and then doing it and seeing it happen at watching this. I have been kind of getting a little bit um mm, definitely not burned out. Burned out's just what's in my head because I've heard so many people say burn out, don't get burned out in the past couple of days in the comments. But I wasn't getting burnt out of working on this retaining wall, but I was starting to just kind of feel like I wasn't getting anywhere. Like I was just kind of spinning my wheels, trying to make progress on this thing because it was just like I kept coming out here and working on it and working on it and working on it, and it was just a trench in the ground. And I was just like, I finally just like 2 weeks ago, or I guess actually that may have been maybe that was last weekend, and yeah, it was last weekend. I was just like, I got to just start moving on this. I got to start making some progress happen, and because I kept just standing back and thinking instead of actually doing anything. And that's the thing with projects like this, you have to just start doing something and then you'll figure it out as you go. But if you just sit there and think and you stand back and you're like, I don't know if that's the best way to do this, and you just you end up spending all your time just thinking and reconsidering. And if you just start doing something and then you make a mistake and correct it, you'll make progress way faster than trying to. I'm not saying to go into stuff without a plan. I spent weeks planning this retaining wall, and then I still ended up going into it with a little bit not enough preparedness. But it's really easy to let yourself overthink stuff and never get anywhere with it. And I've seen a couple people comment talking about how they've got projects they've been wanting to do at their house for years and they just never have done it, never gotten anywhere on it. And I absolutely can understand that. But you have to just start. Just do something to get started. And then it'll get your brain in that mindset of the project, and then you're thinking about it in your free time. You're coming up with ideas, but as long as it's just an idea that you're tossing around, it's never going to get anywhere. It's Father's Day. My grandma posted a video on her Facebook story, well, and on her Facebook, of my grandpa. I'm bad at keeping up with what age people are because the time just moves so fast. I can't keep up with it. He's 80 or 82. He's in his 80s. Or about to be in his 80s. I guess I'm not I'm not sure that he actually is 80, but he's close to the age of 80, plus or minus 2 years. And posted a video of him yesterday morning, loading up his tractor and going out to work on a Saturday. The same truck he's always had ever since right when I was born, when he got that truck, and he's still working. That's what a life of no drinking or smoking or bad diet will do for you, and regular exercise. He's always exercised. He's never drank. He's never smoked. He's just always ate good and walked. He does a lot of walking to exercise, and he's always worked. He never quit working, even when he retired. It still work all the time. He's got the same old clients he's had for years, and he's still doing work for all of them. He said he's busy. He's so busy he can hardly keep up with it last time I talked to him. Which that is exactly what I think makes you live a long life, having purpose and continuing to stay active. He was out here a month or two ago, very shortly after I bought the house, and I don't see him super often. They live 5-ish hours away, so I don't see him super often. And I also, when I do see him, we're usually all just sitting around, So I just think about his age, and so I kind of worry about, or I was, worried about his mobility a little bit, walking around out here because it's steep and all the retaining walls and everything. And he got out here and he's running around like a 40-year-old, jumping up and down these retaining walls and walking around fast. He stands up fast. Very impressive. He could absolutely have another 25 years in him. But yeah, I got up, and I was kind of sitting around my apartment, not dreading coming out here, but I'm kind of just, that's like my little bit of weekend where I'm not working in the morning, Saturdays and Sundays when I'm home. I usually actually cook a breakfast. I don't eat breakfast most days, but I'll usually cook breakfast on the weekends just to spend a little bit more time in my air conditioning and sitting around before I head out here. And I saw that and I was like, oh man, Yeah, he's up. He's up and out going to work. I probably better head to my house. And I left. I left then. Speaking of all that, I probably better start working my way towards finishing up. It's 4, and it is Father's Day, so I better go by my parents' house. Just making good progress. It's getting exciting watching this thing stack up. But I'm definitely wearing my drill out. I think I still might go buy some of those screws just for the last couple of courses that I won't get to today. This retaining wall project has nearly been paid for with donations that I have not asked for, but I've had a couple of people be very generous and trying to support the channel, and that sure does help for sure, because this that helps me put money towards the next project, not having to wait till I can recover funds, which this wasn't an expensive project anyway. I tried to keep costs down on it just because it's not super important to the property to have this retaining wall. It's just something I wanted as a luxury, to have a little bit more room to get my truck turned around, and a little bit more room for company. If I could do it again, I don't think I would have done this. Especially now that I found out my lot lines include so much of that fence. I could have just tore that fence down. That could have been the extended parking. And honestly, backing out of the driveway isn't even that bad. I never even tried backing out of the driveway until yesterday. But I backed out yesterday and then backed out today. It's literally not a non-issue. So getting my truck turned around up here isn't actually a problem. And now that I know that I have that field up there, I'm not regretting doing this because I'm learning so much and it's fun and I'm getting to make videos out of it. But with the amount of time that it's taking, I think probably would have been better spent on another project. But like I said, I don't regret doing it. I'm just, look, in hindsight, probably wasn't worth it to do all this, considering the options. But at the time, didn't know I had the field, which was my mistake. I should have been more familiar with the lot lines more earlier on. I just, lots of stuff going on trying to buy a house and maintain a full-time job. Trying to buy a house that needs a bunch of work and maintain a full-time job, and you got all these inspections, appraisals, and you're hiring an engineer, talking back and forth with an engineer, and then talking back and forth with your lender. One lender drops you and you're scrambling to find another lender before closing. It was just like getting a survey in the middle of all that was just, if they're not going to require it, I'm not going to mess with it, because I'm trying to make this deal work without losing a whole bunch of all the money that I'd spent on inspections. I haven't even looked and seen how many views that video has today. Well, this is going to be the end of this long video. I don't know how much footage I actually ended up getting between that last talking scene and this one, because I'm having a lot of trouble out of this microphone all of a sudden. I'm really glad I've got a new one coming in tomorrow, so this should be my last video I record with this one. But really happy with the progress that I made this weekend. Drainage is improved a lot, where I feel good about it, and the wall is going together better than I expected. So that's really nice. It's gonna just keep going up from here. I just stacked all these in and left them unsecure because I've gotten to where drilling the holes to anchor them is taking longer than pretty much anything else. So I can't forget, I've got to bring some of the 10-inch structural screws with me next time I come out here. Get all these screwed down, and I can screw those dead man anchors together, and then I can just move right along to the next course. So everything that I've read says to do a dead man every other course, so I got to skip it on this one. So that means I got to do a dead man for these. I'll have to do one towards this side, and then in between these two, and that should be it for this course. Then on the next course, I'll have to add one more somewhere in that area, and then that should be it for adding dead men. I should just have 3 more to add, and then I'm pretty much going to be at the top at that point. I've just got to get those structural screws, and then I really need to see if maybe I can borrow my dad's tractor next weekend, because that would be very helpful. He's got a front end loader on it, So it'd be very helpful for getting all this dirt that's right here over the wall into here. Because if I do it by hand, I'm going to have to load it to a wheelbarrow, go all the way around and dump it up there. But if I could get his tractor, I could just scoop it, drive forward, and dump it back here, and then compact it. So like I said, very happy with the progress that I made this weekend. Might be looking at wrapping it up here in a week or two, and then we can move along. If I am able to borrow his tractor next weekend, we can go ahead and start on the field cleanup series, which shouldn't be very long, 1 or 2 videos. As always, thank you guys so much for your support and interest. Thanks for sticking through with this low quality mic. I actually haven't had any complaints about it at all, which is surprising to me because whenever I watch the videos back, I feel like the audio was horrible, but this should be the last one with it. New mic comes in tomorrow, and then it should sound a whole lot better because I got a top of the line one with the money that a couple of people donated to me. So that's how I reinvested that directly back into the channel about that mic. So thanks for those donations from those people, and thanks everyone else for their support, and thank you guys a lot for watching.